Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Life as Sash Knows It. I hope that you're having a good day, whatever part of the day that you are watching this. Actually, let me make sure I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb because I forgot to do that. But yes, I'm super excited to talk to you guys this week. I'm very excited to get into the topic, but before, like we always do, for the people who are like me and nosy, I'll give you a little into how my week's been so far. So since we last spoke, I watched the new Spider-Man film. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. That film was amazing. I loved it. It is definitely one of my top films of this year. And oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna watch it again. I loved it so much. I just felt that it was done so well. The plot was done really well. The shots were amazing. One thing I did say is that me and my friends watched it in 3D. This wasn't even intentional. One of the guys was like, "Oh, like let's book this timing," and I was like, "Oh, it's 3D." And I was like, "Buy 3D glasses." And he really didn't need to be 3D. There wasn't much 3D aspects. Like at the beginning, when he was like swinging, I'm not gonna obviously give too much, but he was just like obviously swinging between the buildings. That 3D, amazing, fantastic, cool. But then after that, I just didn't think, like occasionally I'd have the glasses and I'd like lift them up, lift them down, lift them up, lift them down to see if there was much difference. I just felt that the glasses made the film a lot darker than it was supposed to be. I don't know. I don't know if it added to it, but then I don't even like wear my normal glasses. So yeah, but that was the Spider-Man film. Other than that, 10 out of 10. I also tried, I think it's acai. My mum calls it acai. I'm positive it's acai. So I tried an acai bowl because there was this new place in Essex, and oh my gosh, it was really, really nice. I loved it. There was lots and lots of toppings, but we actually got the acai powder from one of the shops because it was on offer, and I'm gonna make it at home. So acai, I learnt this, guys. It was all very new to me. So acai is a fruit, I believe, and it is a superfood, so very, very good for you. So I'm super excited. And what you basically do, I'm pretty sure you get like a bunch of frozen like berries, and then you chuck that into a blender and you chuck in some acai powder. I don't know if you like add milk or something. I feel like potentially, I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on this. And then you like blend it, and it's kind of similar consistency as to a smoothie bowl, but I would say it's like smoother and probably less thick. Like it's thick, but not as thick as a smoothie bowl. Anyway, it was great. I loved it, and I also tried a cookie butter matcha, which was basically it had like pistachio spread in it, and they put like some syrup in it. So I don't know if that was like a pistachio syrup or just a cookie butter syrup. But yeah, and I guess the only other thing I want to say is I actually did differently with my makeup. So I'm an oily skin babe, always have been, always will be. And I didn't really, I don't know, I've never really thought much about my makeup or what I do with it. I didn't realize, obviously there's makeup for certain skin types and stuff like that, and you need to be wearing certain things or using different products to help combat certain things. So for me, I'm all about the matte look, love a matte look. I just do. Where I'm oily, it's quite hard to achieve. I feel like if I wanted more of a dewy skin, it'd probably be more achievable. But yeah, so I've been looking at different products and doing some research, and it's making me feel grown, guys. I can't lie. Like I feel like such a grown woman, like researching my makeup and all that sort of stuff. But I realize I'm rambling on. That is the update of my week. But let's get into the episode, which is the growth you don't notice. So, recently I have been feeling overwhelmed because I have just had so many things to juggle, whether that's my relationships, with friendships, with family, with my boyfriend, with work, with trying to apply for jobs, with trying to film content, with, trying to balance the podcast and my TikTok and making sure that my work portfolio is filled. There's just so many different things that I feel like I don't want to say struggling with, just finding it difficult to manage. Finding it difficult to manage. Some weeks are better than others. And I think that it was just getting a bit much. And yesterday evening, I just wasn't feeling great. And I was feeling a bit depressed, if I'm going to be completely honest. And it was so random. Like, I woke up and was having the best day ever. And I think after I had my lunch at work, that's when it started to go down. And I'm thinking, I don't know if it's because it's like the after lunch sluggishness, but I wasn't feeling too great. And I was speaking to my boyfriend about it, and he had actually said that I feel like you're focusing your energy on the wrong thing. And when I was I think I went to sleep because I was tired after that. And I woke up this morning and had a bit more of a deeper thinking to what he said. And I was looking back on the things that I was mentioning about what was making me feel so overwhelmed. What was it? What was going on? And then I remember, so I was at work yesterday and I was talking to my colleague. So, for context, me and my colleague, I think I mentioned this before, I'm not sure honestly, but we're reading the same book. And she has read a lot of the book, like way more than me. We were basically at the same point, and now she's very, very much ahead. So I was feeling a bit of pressure because I'm like, oh my gosh, like when we go in, we usually talk about the book. And if I'm not as far as her, we usually just discuss at what point I'm at. She never does spoilers, love her for that. And she just said to me, she was like, I don't want you to put pressure on yourself to read the book. If you don't have time to read it or you're not as far ahead of me as I am, like you're not where I am, like that's fine. We'll just, when you are, we'll talk about it. And I genuinely appreciate it because, yeah, I was putting so much pressure on myself to try to make sure I read this book. Disclaimer, I do really want to read this book. I have been wanting to read more, but with everything that I was juggling, it was not as easy as it once was for me to have that time. Especially when you're reading a book with someone at the same time. There, I do think there's that little bit of pressure to make sure that you're both on the same track to discuss it. Like, so for example, if there was a deadline, let's say me and her said, oh, we're going to finish a book by the end of the month, there's that pressure to make sure that you're reading it. And when she had said that to me, I was like, what? Yeah, like, I said to her, thank you, like, I really appreciate it. I was thinking, why was I doing that? This is meant to be something fun and enjoyable, yet I'm putting pressure on myself to do it. Bearing in mind, she was not putting any pressure on me. And I realized, I was like, why am I not reading as much? Like, what is going on? Because I decided I was going to start scheduling time to read. Because I saw this video on TikTok and this girl was saying that, the reason why your favorite, like the people around you are reading so much more than you isn't because they necessarily have more time. It's because they schedule in that time for them to read. So they schedule time in the evening to read. Like one of my other co-workers was saying that she reads at night to go to bed. That's her routine. So she knows she's always getting in that reading time at night. The colleague that I'm reading the same book with, she reads daily, but she schedules time where she'll just sit in the garden and read, or maybe she'll just read in her bedroom, or different things like that. And it made me realize I don't do that. I don't schedule things in. I'm very much like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, and I don't schedule it. And I find that sometimes when I do schedule things, like yesterday, I scheduled in to come home, apply for jobs, do this, do that, and I was like, I literally can't do this right now. And you know what? I just sat and I read because I was like, I know I want to read. That was on my schedule, and if I can't get everything done on my schedule, that's fine. But it was so weird. I made the list, and I was thinking, yep, I'm gonna get this done. It's great. And then when I look back on it later, it's like, oh my gosh, this is too much. This is way too much. Let me do something that is for me to help me hopefully feel like I'm in a better way to do it. So that's what I did. But I realized why am I not reading? What, like, where has this gone? I used to love reading. I used to read. I used to get through a book like in 2 weeks sometimes. And I realized that my life looks very differently to how it looked a year ago. So a year ago, I had graduated in July. So this time last year, I was actually going out with my friend with the last bit of money I was getting from my job, and we were going out to, like, where did we go? When we did like beach trips, we went to London and did a thrifting thing. There was so many other things we did as well. I cannot remember, but I just had a great summer. And I remember as it was getting into August and stuff and etching into September, I was still happy and living off of the high of it. And then things started to quiet down for me. And my friends, at the time of last year, they all lived in different places. So one of my friends lives in London. One of them lives about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. One of them lives in Sheffield. One of them lives up by the uni that I went to. They were all different places, and I didn't have money to go see them. Some of them didn't even live too far, maybe like a 30-minute drive away, but because I didn't have the money to fill up my car all the time or drive to all these places, and I had to literally budget my petrol, I didn't get to see them a lot. So I felt quite lonely, and I would read a lot, and I read so much more during that time. I remember I was like, I want to romanticize reading, so I bought like a little book light, and so that I could read in the dark with like my candles on, and that's kind of what I did. Now I am unbelievably blessed. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I go to church, and I prayed about a lot of things a year ago that I have now, that are the same things that are making me feel slightly overwhelmed. Not because the things themselves are overwhelming, like my friends are not overwhelming whatsoever, but trying to make sure I'm doing everything or putting energy into everything is the part that's overwhelming me. And that's on me, that's not on anybody else. I just put this unbelievable amount of pressure on myself to stretch myself thin, to be there to do that, and there to do that, and here to do that, and there to help that person, and that I'm then left feeling, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And it's always to like the breaking point, I think, that I get. It's not even because it's been going on for months, bearing in mind, and it was like, yes, last night I was just like, I can't do this. And when I woke up this morning and I was thinking about it, I was like, but these are the things that, not saying that my feelings are invalid, but these are the things that I prayed about, I asked God for. And, also disclaimer, although I believe in God and that is my religion, I completely respect that someone who's listening to this might not have the same beliefs as me. That's absolutely fine. If you don't have the same beliefs, I would just say things that you wish for, things that you had hoped would happen for you, you'd hope for yourself in the future. Is that another way to look at it if religion is not your particular pathway? But I wanted to give you guys a few examples of the things that I wished for myself and prayed about that I have now. And when I kind of looked at it in that perspective, I realized that yes, obviously I'm still going to be overwhelmed, but aren't I blessed that these are my issues, sort of thing. These are the things that I'm overwhelmed about. So the first thing, I've written them down because we know a girl forgets, and I mean me, my brain is like, I feel like I get brain farts. So the first one is not enough time for reading. So I am seeing my boyfriend, I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm with my family, I'm going out here, I'm going out there, I'm taking my own time, I'm doing content creation, I'm taking my podcast more seriously, making sure I'm getting those episodes out, I'm making sure I'm taking my TikTok seriously, I'm redecorating my room. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of different things, and singularly, I think that's a word. Singularly, yeah, they're separate and they're fine and it's good. But then them stacked on top of each other, it's a bit like, oh my gosh, this is getting a bit high. This list. So last year, and I mentioned this briefly, I was reading a lot because I had no job. I couldn't go see my friends. I didn't particularly have a lot of friends back at home. And I was feeling pretty lonely. So reading was my escapism. Don't get me wrong, still love that escapism. But I do think that I almost crave for it less because of all the things that I'm blessed with. Now I have an amazing friendship group. I've created amazing new friendships with people where it's individual friendships. I'm juggling my time trying to do all these different things that I have that to offer that have been put on my plate, where it's movie nights, game nights, going bowling, going to the cinema. I have an amazing, healthy relationship that I love, and I have a partner that I can truly confide in and supports me and gives advice like he did to me yesterday to help me progress and grow further. I have a fantastic, not that I didn't last year, this is for me ongoing, but I still have this ongoing amazing relationship with my family. I have a job that pays me money. And yes, it's not necessarily where I thought I would be, but it is definitely a progression in my life, my career, where I want to be. And I was like, damn, this is nice. Like, this is nice. And it's the same with, struggling to make, struggling to, now I'm struggling to make time to see my friends and juggle everything. But there was a time where I didn't really have any friends. And I didn't really have people that I could go and I could confide into. I am working lots of overtime currently, but there was a time where I didn't have a job and I didn't have money, and that was a very, very big struggle for me. So when I kind of looked on the flip side, it's like you really don't. There's so much growth that you don't realize, and it's very easy to be so hyperfixated on what you're going through now, the things that are happening now, how it is now. And yes, maybe there are negative, no, I wouldn't want to say negative, but yes, there are maybe some conflicting feelings about some of those things, in terms of like, oh my gosh, I'm working all this time at work and it's so exhausting and I'm so tired, but actually I'm also grateful because there was a time I was begging for work and I really, really wanted to work and I really, really wanted to have something that I was doing in my time. And yes, I really want to read, but actually, I remember there was a time that was all I did, and it got to a point where I was like, I love reading and I love all these books, but I just wish something more. And yeah, once I kind of had this realization, I genuinely felt so much better, so much lighter, so much more optimistic. And yeah, I genuinely do think that it is something. And do you know what? I feel like I might as well get this on a t-shirt, and I think I might get like a cute little baby tee, and just say shift it. It's about shifting your mindset, because I feel like I'm just like, that's all I yap about. But it genuinely is. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're never going to get overwhelmed. Like, absolutely not. That's still always going to happen. But when you shift your perspective on things, I think that it helps you better mentally, because it's so much easier to be like, this is stressing me out, this is going wrong, this is doing this, is doing it. But it's actually like, well, okay, but what is it doing well for you? Like, these friendships are helping me bring me out of my shell, making me feel more comfortable to be myself, and just having a good time and being able to go out and do fun things on a random Wednesday, like we did when we watched Spider-Man. And juggling work is, yes, it can be tiring. Everyone finds work tiring, but it means that I can afford to do things with my friends, my family, my boyfriend. I can afford to decorate my room and make my space my own, and help with my mental health, because unfortunately a lot of things cost money, and a lot of things that you I want to do require money. And so therefore, without my job, I wouldn't be able to do those things and go and see those people and enjoy life in the way that I had always hoped. So I guess like my point is that sometimes I believe as people we look at things or situations in the wrong way. And yes, I do feel overwhelmed. Yes, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much things going on, but there are positives to the way that I'm feeling, and there are ways to enjoy those things without having that overbearing feeling of feeling overwhelmed that there's so much going on. And I want to reiterate again, your feelings are valid. They're regardless, it doesn't mean that your feelings aren't valid, but I think that there is a better way to view the situation in a way that's left you feeling better and lighter and happier, and being able to actually notice the growth and be like, actually, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, however long it was, I was there. This is where I was now. Then, this is where I am now. How blessed I am to have these as my problems, because there are much worse problems. Obviously, I have other things that are going on, and I have other things that aren't so pleasant and aren't so nice. I don't want to get into them too much personally, because they are private matters, but some of those things have been draining. Some of those things have genuinely been exhausting, and they're, tiring enough as it is. I don't want to now make the nicer parts of life that I love also feel tiresome and also feel kind of putting me down. So I guess what I think are the best ways to help is sharing what's stressing you. Once I talked to my boyfriend about this, I genuinely felt a lot better, especially by talking about everything, expressing what was going on, expressing the things that were stressing me out. So yeah, sharing what's stressing you is a great way, whether you're talking to somebody. I personally think talking to people makes the situation easier. I hope that you guys have people that you think that you can confide in, but to be fair, it can be someone close to you, it could be a therapist. I feel like just talk to somebody that cares about you and that you feel that you can rely on. If that's not necessarily an option for you, I think writing down what's stressing you as well is a very, very good way. I find that when my thoughts are down on paper, it almost feels like the thought kind of like exits my mind and goes onto the paper so I can visually see it. I'm very much a practical person, so I like to visually see things and be actually doing things. So I might write down what's stressing me, write down why it's stressing me, and then write down actually, okay, but yes, this is stressing me, but what are the positives from this situation? What's the growth that I didn't notice? What can I reflect on it almost? Which kind of leads on to my next point, which is take your time to reflect, because you might find that you're living the life that you once prayed for. And I think there's something so strong about that, because I think in life you get so carried away with things. So much is going on, so much is happening that you almost forget to take a minute and take a breath and be like, oh my gosh, wait, I've grown so much, I've matured so much, I've become this person. And for like a silly example with my makeup, I was stressing about how oily I was, and I was like, you know what? Instead of just stressing about it, I need to fix it, because I've actually known my skin has been oily for a minute. Like, this is nothing new to me. I've never actively made the effort to switch up my makeup routine or to try to use products to combat that. So I did my research. I did it. I tried. I went to Boots. I looked at different things, and now I'm in. And now it's not even really a bother, because I know the things that help my skin, and now I can just go and try different products and see what works best. And I do think that that's for me such a massive growth, because I've been doing the same makeup. I've been doing the same makeup routine for years and just being like, oh, do you know what? I had the mindset where it was basically like, I'm going out, and whatever my makeup is, when it is, it stays that way. Like, I'm not gonna touch it up. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do anything like that. And I do feel like there was a level of maturity that kind of hit me. It was like, actually, no, I'm going to touch up my makeup to make sure it looks nice and I feel happy and confident all throughout. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, like I'm so stressed out, or this is so overwhelming because I have to do this. Because I figured out a way to tackle it. I did my research, I took some time, I reflected, and it made it so much easier for me. I think reflecting on it made me realize, okay, wow, like this is some personal growth. And instead of being overwhelmed that I was like trying to find this new makeup routine and trying to find products that worked, I was actually so happy for the personal growth that I got to see in myself, which was quite fun. So another thing that I'm actually trialing this week is trying to have a main focus of the week, because I find that by doing this, not that all the other things come second, but you're prioritizing a certain thing so that at least you're finding that, right, okay, I'm doing this, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to focus my energy on. So that, let's say, for example, I say I'm focusing on applying for jobs this week, so maybe I won't be able to push out as much content as I'd hoped, or I might not have recorded as many episodes of the podcast as I wanted to, or I might not be able to put my energy as much in my friendships because I'm taking the time to do the job applications. But the next week I might say, okay, I feel like I stepped away from my friends a bit. Right, there's this opportunity for us all to go out. I'm going to focus on spending some time with my friends and getting back with them. Because I might have said this already, but my cousin had said to me that where one thing in your life will do like really well, you're excelling and then you'll be doing fantastic, and another thing in your life is going to kind of almost take the hit of it. because you can't be good at everything. And there was actually, it kind of goes into my next point, was listening to a podcast. So I listened to this podcast called Misunderstood by NK Medini, and she was saying that sometimes doing all right is enough, because be you can't do well in everything all of the time. Like, you can't do everything to 100%. It's just not possible. There are going to be some days where you're not feeling great, some days where you're feeling tired, overwhelmed, stressed, and you should obviously try to push and do those things if it's important for you, if they're things that you need to do. But if you can't always do it at 100%, that's also okay. Sometimes it's just about showing up for yourself, showing up for the things that matters, because life does happen. Things aren't going to stop happening, life is not going to stop stressing you, but there are ways to handle it. And I definitely am the kind of person who is like, right, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, and I want to do it to the best of my ability. And obviously you want to do it to the best of your ability, but also you have to understand that you can't always do it to the best of your ability. Like, maybe one day you're giving 75%, or you can only give 50% one day, but you're going to still make sure you get it done to at least a decent quality that you like. And there might be times where you can't give your 100%. You're like, actually, no, I really want to give my all. And you can wait, but the problem is that sometimes time is not our friend, and you don't have the time to wait until you feel better to do another video, or till you feel better to send that email, and you just need to do it. So I really love that she said that you don't always need to do everything 100% if you can't give that 100%, because you might find that if you push yourself to do it, that might increase how you feel, and you might feel better overall. So the last thing I wanted to say, which I feel like I'm always pushing for people and I always say, is refresh, recharge, recharge. I said that weird. Refresh, recharge for yourself, because when it gets too much, so for me yesterday, I had made a list of things I wanted to do. I didn't get them all done. So one of them was applying for jobs, and the minute I started looking, I was like, this is too much right now. I genuinely don't feel like I'm in the mental space to do this. So I was like, okay, instead of forcing myself to sit down and apply for this job, I'm going to go and read my book, because that's something I wanted to do. That's calming, that's relaxing, and for me was a form of escapism. It was great. I read a couple pages, I really enjoyed it. And another thing I wanted to do was cook, but after I read my book, I then had the energy and was in the right mindset to go cook some food. So I cooked some food. Was it great? Not particularly. But I fed myself, I ate, which is what I wanted to do, and I prepared my lunch for tomorrow. So sometimes I find that by refreshing and recharging, you find that actually that is a lot better than forcing yourself to do something straight away, or putting yourself in a situation where you're going to do it, but you're either going to resent doing it, or the outcome is not going to be the one that you had hoped for, because you maybe wasn't in a good mood when you did it. For example, maybe you were going to have a conversation with someone and it didn't end very well because you were maybe very tired, you're very annoyed, you just kind of haven't had that time to give to yourself. So when you came to that conversation, you came with all that anxiousness of, oh my gosh, this is all going on and I'm tired and this and that, and the conversation might not have ended very well. Or if you had an email you had to send and you genuinely felt rubbish, and you might have forgotten something, or you wasn't your normal self, and found that if you would have just taken even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, go on a walk, read a book, just taking that time for yourself, then you actually would have been better for it and handled a situation, or done something in a better way, or in a way that didn't leave you feeling defeated. Because I genuinely felt so defeated when I tried to apply for jobs and I just couldn't do it. I can't explain it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get my mind in that space to do it. So I was like, instead, yeah, I'm not going to beat myself up and make myself feel 10 times worse. I'm going to do something that I know I enjoy. And yes, I didn't apply for jobs, but I did cook the food that I needed to do. I did got to read some of my book. I did have time to refresh, recharge, and just trial again. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trial again another day. I think that we end up feeling overwhelmed because we put more pressure on ourselves than is necessary. Do not get me wrong, there are situations that might put pressure on you, or people that might put pressure on you, but a lot of the time we're almost welcoming in that pressure, and sometimes it is just about thinking about the situation at hand. Are there ways that you can handle this better? That maybe, yes, you can feel the pressure, but you're not feeling so overwhelmed that you can't do certain things or can't handle certain situations. But yeah, that's what I have to say. And I mean, let me know if you end up using any of my advice or tips or tricks. Or I know I'm gonna definitely, those are the things that I'm currently using, and I think they are working for me. I hope that they work for you. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, good rest of your day, evening, night. And yeah, if you haven't already, please, feel free to follow me at Life as Sash Knows It on TikTok and Instagram to see cute little podcast clips that I try to post and just to keep updated on everything on the pod. If you want to have a little nosy into my life, you can follow me at Sasha Wiltshire on Instagram and at That News Girl on TikTok, where I regularly post yapping content on shorter form in case you're not feeling watching a 30 to 40-minute video or audio podcast of me. And yeah, I genuinely appreciate you guys so much. I enjoy talking to you, and I genuinely hope that you feel heard, you feel seen, and that this episode, it resonates with you in a way that it helps you. Obviously, I don't hope that you feel overwhelmed, but if you do, I hope that this helps you. I've got to go and get ready for work now, guys, but I really hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you have anything that you'd like me to talk about or any podcast episodes ideas, yeah, feel free to DM me or message me on TikTok and Instagram, or even on my email at lifeassashknowsit@gmail.com. Email box is always open. Lovely talking to you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.